projects. I can't remember. My name is Heather. I am the knitwear designer and maker behind Oileánach Knits. I'm coming to you from St. John's, Newfoundland, traditionally Ktaqmkuk of the Mi'kmaq people and the Beothuk people. It's a little island out in the North Atlantic Ocean, and I'm excited to hang out with you a little bit today. I feel like it's been weeks. Well, I guess it has been weeks. It feels like it's been such a long time. I don't know what this little piece of hair is doing right now. Yeah, it feels like it's been such a long time since I've hung out. I haven't been really on using Instagram or social media very much lately. I went back to school this term, and it was a really poor choice on my part, and I'm just getting through it right now, you know? But it's also a really lovely time of year for knitting, and a knock on the door. Shh. Okay, yeah, no, I just realized it's Halloween. There's children trick-or-treating right now, and I don't know, I guess I've just lived in a neighborhood for so long where kids don't do that, it didn't occur to me that was gonna happen. Yeah, so, oops. But yes, it is Samhain. It is the last night of the Celtic calendar. I've been trying to learn more about kind of the Celtic calendar and kind of traditional Celtic holidays lately, but I don't know much about them yet. I'm not much of an expert, so I probably won't talk much about it, but I have been kind of finding myself in a very reflective mood lately, not lately, maybe just the last like day or two. And so it really made me want to podcast and kind of think about what I've been working on and you know, what I want to work on and what I want to think about in the coming weeks. Yeah, so I guess without getting into too much of that right now, I wanted to talk about some projects I've been working on. And so one of those is the library shawl, which I've shown a few times now. My version is done. Oh, look at this lovely light. Wow. Okay, so maybe I'll take some photos now as well. My version is done, has been for a little while, and I've been wearing it constantly. It's like the perfect, like for indoors, it kind of works as a little bit of a little blanket, and then when I wear it out, I just wrap it around a bunch of times, and it becomes a lovely scarf or shawl. And it's knit in herringbone stitch with one strand of Plötulopi and one strand of silk mohair, and I love it. It's so soft. I think I've really discovered like my sweet spot with Plötulopi as like a really hardy rustic yarn that I love. But with the silk mohair, it like the fabric retains the rustic feeling, but with like an extra dimension of softness. And I don't mind, like I don't find Plötulopi scratchy or anything like that on its own. I use it all the time, Plötulopi and Letlopi. They're my favorite yarns, but like the extra dimension of the mohair, it's a really beautiful feeling. Yeah, so anyway, I won't talk about this too much more because I have talked about it in previous episodes, but I just want to update you on the progress. The pattern is written and it is currently in testing. So I'm aiming to have this out at the end of November, beginning of December, like that time frame. And I will update you on that once I have like a particular date. I'm not the kind of, I suppose, designer that sets like a specific date. I've noticed I've been watching the Lea podcast, and she's started releasing her own patterns, and they're beautiful. And I've watched her like whip out 3 sweater patterns this fall, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that's very intense. I'm a really slow knitter, so that's just never gonna happen for me. I'm still trying to like catch up on knitting the patterns that I designed like 2 years ago. But yeah, so I've been watching how she'll be like, okay, and like on this date, like I'll like have this finished, and on this date the test knit finishes, and on this date it comes out, and I'm like, that's too like well planned for me. I'm definitely not gonna do things like that. I'm gonna, yeah, so like I know what date the test knit finishes, but once I like process all the data from the test knit and then actually like get everything ready and then release it, there's no way for me to know that far in advance. But yes, that is the aim, is to have it out by the first week of December. So that's really exciting, and I can't wait for people to knit it and love it and enjoy it, because it's just a thrill. I also need to take photographs for it. I've been meaning to since I finished it, and I've been wearing it every day, so it's starting to like, you know, it's being worn. So I'm gonna have to reblock it, I think, just to make it like really nice and fresh for the photos. But it's just been so tricky. Like, we have such a tiny, narrow window of light at this point where I live. It's dark by 5 o'clock. So that makes it really difficult when you're like committed to doing things during working hours, kind of thing, 9 to 5. So anyway, I'll get the photos eventually, but I have until the end of November for the pattern to come out. So that's that. The next pattern that I think will come out soon is the mittens that I showed you in the very first episode of the podcast with my 4-ish motif. And these are just knit in Plötulopi. Oh, yeah, look at that light. I should be out taking the photos right now. Obviously, it's not going to happen now. Maybe tomorrow. Yeah, so these are knit in Plötulopi. I knit them last year, but after I showed them in my first podcast episode, people were like, I totally knit that. You should make it a pattern. So I've been working on, and I probably should have waited till I finished the thumb, but the light, you gotta move with the light this time of year. So yeah, I've been working on knitting up a second sample just to kind of like go through and edit the pattern, and like make sure everything's all good. And the only thing left to do now is just cap off the little thumb and then do all my weaving in of ends and all that stuff. But yeah, so I'm excited about these, and I wanted to show them today, even though they're not quite finished, just because I'm going to be, as soon as I finish the one mitten, that's just like to confirm the pattern kind of thing, and then I'll be calling for test knitters once I get the pattern finished writing up, and I plan to do that this evening. So in the next few days there will be a call for test knitters for this guy on my Instagram. So by say the 4th of November, I'll be calling for test knitters for these. So I wanted to mention that. And these are really nice and cozy. I really like all the changes I made to them. So I added a nice long stretch of ribbing so that you can fold them up. Changed how I did the decreases, and I think that's pretty much it, honestly, and then graded it for a couple of extra sizes. So these ones that I knit for myself are in this like medium adult size, except that they're not quite long enough, like because I was rushing to get these done, which I've mentioned before, just because I really needed a pair of mittens. You can see that they're like the ribbing starts on the heel of my hand kind of thing. So they're not quite as long as they should be as per kind of like the standard regulations for hand sizes, but that's fine, they work. Yeah, so I fixed all that kind of stuff, did all the grading. So these are going to be good to go very shortly, and that's very exciting. So I'm hoping to then have these ones out before Christmas because they make a really quick little knit for gift knits, if that's your vibe. Like I've mentioned before, in my family we don't really do gifts and stuff, but I do like to do, I don't know, I still think about gift knitting because like I still like to knit things for people that are things that I could accomplish like relatively quickly. And I don't just say that because I don't want to invest time in knitting things for people. It's more so that I have ADHD, so it's very likely that if I tried to like cast on something for someone else, I would like cast it on and be really into it for a day or two and then put it aside and forget about it for like months. So it's easier if I can like make people things as I'm thinking about them. That will go pretty quick. And so this is the large adult size that I'm doing here, and one mitten used up, well, I mean, you can see that the yarn is still attached and I'm just about to finish the thumb, and this is how much I have left of the ball of the main color. So you're using up almost exactly one ball of Plötulopi for the largest size. So for the smallest, you could probably get away with like both mittens on one ball. I mean, maybe, I don't really know that, to be fair, but I mean, it does make it a very like nice, either, you know, using up scraps of what you have, or like, you know, containing what you're buying for a project down to just the one ball kind of thing. And you don't use very much of the contrast color at all. So that's kind of fun. Fun little fact about those. So then I'm really excited about my next project. So I have had this idea in mind for quite a while, and I bought the yarn for it maybe a year or two ago, but never kind of got around to it. It's a sweater project, and I get very like I'm very protective over my like time for sweater projects because I want to, you know, be knitting things, like, because it takes me such a long time because I'm such a slow knitter that I really want to, like, you know, get really committed to it before I start. So this sweater is not the one I just knit or am knitting, but this is a sweater that I found in a thrift store, I want to say in Montreal, years and years ago, and I love the design on it. It's absolutely huge on me. It goes almost down to my knees. It's like a giant like dress, and I often kind of, and it's got like this big kind of shaggy collar, just in like 2x2 ribbing that like, it looks like maybe it thought about being a turtleneck or something. And this is from Northern Getaway, or Northern Reflections. So it's just kind of like an old, like medium fast fashion kind of thing from the like 80s and 90s. And like it's definitely knit in acrylic, and the yarn is not holding up well at all, and like it's just big and baggy and droopy, and I love it, but I was like, I could make an actual wool version of this and I would love it so much more and it would last so much longer. Not that this hasn't kind of lasted, but like it's in rough shape. Yeah, so I just really loved the vibe of it. The construction is super weird. It's like it looks like a raglan, but there are no increases and decreases. Like they're separate pieces that were sewn together. You can see like the seams inside, like it's just been kind of sewn together. Yeah, so with that in mind, I decided that I wanted to recreate it. So I've been working on this beauty. And I just kind of like last week, I have a million projects on my needles, but last week I was just really inspired. I think I was looking through some of the Plötulopi that I have, thinking about making a different sweater, which I'll show you in a minute. And I saw like the yarn that I have for this and have had for a while. And I was like, it's time. Now's the time. We're gonna do it. So I'm so thrilled with it. It's like, it just feels so soft. It's gonna be the absolute dream sweater. And so it's got this like thick folded collar. It's like so thick and squishy, and we're doing raglan with a little stitch detail and the lapa, and it's just like, it's just already fitting so well. It feels amazing, and I mean, I haven't even got to the exciting part. I'm just on the lapa right now, but I just love it so much, and I cannot wait to finish this. Like, I've kind of been neglecting all my other projects just to work on this because I'm so excited about it. It's gonna be so warm and cozy. So then I'll have that like Selbu Rose pattern across here, and I think I'm gonna make it like a cropped version, but maybe I'll like include the instructions to make it like long if you want to have it like that one. Yeah, I'm really excited. I think this is going to be a big part of my winter life this year. Yeah, so I'm using the Plötulopi Unspun, and this actually, I'm almost down toward the armpit area, so I'm almost finished the yoke, and this is how much I have left of my first plate, which is kind of wild. And I think I'm making the medium size, so the 40-ish, no, the 38 inch. I can't actually remember the exact measurement, but yeah, so this is the size of a plate, and this is how much I still have left, which is wild. Yeah, so it's the, oh, I can't remember the name of the colorway now. I think it is, it's the only real orange one there. Maybe amber, and it's really beautiful. So it's got, I mean, in the classic way of the Plötulopi, it's got like flecks of deeper red and of gold and yellow, and it just gives such a nice dimension to the yarn, which I really, really love. It's so beautiful. And I'm just using the white color as the contrast, and I'm really loving it. So the wild thing about this is, for the first time, I am using just one strand of the Plötulopi by itself and knitting with that. And I'm knitting on size, is it size 4 needles? I think, yeah, size 4 needles, which is what, 3.5 millimeter, I think. And it's creating like a really lovely fabric, like it's the perfect density, like it's not see-through at all, but it doesn't feel like I'm knitting on like a tight gauge, which is really nice. And I have not yet broken a strand, which is wild. Because I mean, as I'm sure you know, Plötulopi is notorious. I mean, it's an unspun yarn, so there's no twist to it whatsoever, and this is how easy it is to break. Just comes right apart. But I feel like I've really finally gotten the hang of working with the unspun, and that's actually been really thrilling. I find it like really soothing and relaxing, and nice on my hands, honestly, to work with. So I'll show you kind of how I do it. I do intend, when I release this sweater, I will be recording a tutorial to include on how to kind of knit with an unspun yarn, and like all my tips for it and stuff. But actually this is on a stitch holder right now, so I'll just show you with another project. So what I'm doing is I'm just holding, okay, so I hold the yarn between these fingers and I pinch it with, what do you call that, the top knuckle between these two fingers. And that's how I'm tensioning, just like really gently, and I'm holding it really close to the needle and just knitting like that. Really, really gentle, and keeping my fingers super close to the work, because with the unspun, or with the Icelandic in particular, the staples are really long. They're about this long. And so, as you can see, if I pull apart at that length, it breaks very easily. But if I pull it apart from closer together, keep my fingers closer together, it can hold a lot more. So that's my main tip for working with the Plötulopi specifically. I've never worked with Newfoundland or actually any other unspun at this point, so I don't know what tips would be helpful there, but that's my main tip for this one. So yeah, I'm really excited about this. Like, I spent a lot of time, I meant to have the mitten pattern ready by now and like out testing by now, but I just haven't been able to put this down, so I haven't really finished the mittens. Yeah, so that's been a real thrill. What else am I working on? I feel like I've been working on that mostly. I also, I was in the middle of the Stockholm Slipover by Petite, and I'm knitting that with one strand of tuku wool, with, which is my favorite thing in the world, with a silk mohair, and it's beautiful. But I won't talk about it right now because I don't have it here. I am house sitting again, and I dropped the Slipover back home the other day because I ran out of yarn, and I don't want to order more because I need, like, I'm very close to finishing it. I probably need another inch down at the bottom, and then the ribbing for all the edges. But once again, I live on an island with no yarn shop, and the cheapest shipping I could find was $15, which is like, that's how much the skein costs. So I can basically, for the same price as buying 2 skeins of it in the store, I could have 1 skein of it sent to me, which is just disheartening. And so I'm trying to just kind of put that aside for now until, I don't know, maybe the next time I have to order a few things so that like at least the cost of shipping will be absorbed a bit. I don't know. It's frustrating for sure. And like, if it was a design, I would do it, but it's just a project, so I can put it aside for a little while. It's a little bit sad times, but I'll deal. The other thought I had was I could potentially do like a, no, I don't think I want to though. I was gonna say I could like just use a different color for the ribbing, but it's like a really nice like light silvery gray, so it's like, I don't feel like that would be a fun addition. I think it would just look a little wacky and I would wear it a lot less. So I need to be patient. That's the answer here. Okay. So I have one more finished object, and then I don't know what to call you, an intention, I suppose. So my friend Lea of Stitch Craft Co designed these lovely socks. These are the Whimsy Bay Socks, and I love them. They are knit and Plötulopi, and they were my first ever gusset heel, and I'm really proud of myself. I was very nervous going in, but it was actually super easy, and she wrote out the instructions very clearly, so it was not confusing for me, and yeah, it was great. I had a great time, and these knit up so quickly. I knit almost one entire sock on a car ride down the shore for a hike with my dad, and yeah, like I got in the car and started knitting, and when he dropped me back off at my house after we had gone for the hike and gone for a snack, he looked down and he's like, what the hell, you literally just knit that entire sock. It was wild. They knit, yeah, so they knit up super fast, and they're so comfy. I think she knit them as boot socks, but I don't know, I think I just like they're knit in Plötulopi, so it's like a worsted Aran weight yarn, and I think I just like a thinner sock, so I probably won't actually wear them in my boots much, but I don't know, we'll see. I've been wearing them around the house mostly, and they're so comfy. I just washed them for the first time because I wore them for like, I guess I finished them about 2.5+ weeks ago, and I've been wearing them like every day, all day that I'm in the house. So they were definitely in need of a wash, and they're holding up great. I feel really excited about this. Yeah, first when I finished the first sock, I was just like, this is life-changing. Like, if I can knit cozy wool socks for hanging out in the house in like a couple of days, as opposed to the like months it takes me to finish a pair of fingering weight socks. Total game changer. I think I'm gonna put them on because I've been missing them since I washed them, but I wanted to leave them on the sock walker so I could show them nicely before putting them back on my feet. But now I can put them back on. Very exciting. Yeah, these have been great. And Lea actually just started her own knitting podcast, and it's very exciting. Her first episode is up. I'll link it down below, and it's super fun. It's really lovely to see more folks making exciting podcasts to check out. Oh, they're so cozy. Yeah, so you should definitely check her out as well. Lots of good vibes, lots of very natural wool. I think lots of Plötulopi as well. Lots of really fun projects. And she also makes project bags. I did not even know this until watching her first episode. But when we hang out, she always has a really cute little project bag, and I was wondering, but it turns out she makes them. Very exciting. Okay, so the last project I currently have to show is not yet a project. It's just a plate of Plötulopi at the moment. But my intention for this plate and the other plates of this color that I have are to make a new forest sweater. So the sweater I was wearing in the last podcast, I believe, that is the same motif as this guy. Oops. Yes. As this guy. Like across here, and then it has the lapa on the main body and arms. So that is the plan for these. And I didn't quite have enough of this, but I had most of it already. So I just picked up some more, and I'm just so stunned all the time by their beautiful colors. I don't remember what this one's called. It's like a medium brown. It's got some like light gray in it, and but it is warm. It's got some like warm, like rust colors in there as well. That's really beautiful. Oh, this doesn't say the color on it. But yeah, so I'm really excited about this. I think I'm gonna do this with like the ivory beige as the contrast color, just like something really, really warm toned. And I think it's gonna be really beautiful. I'm gonna hold it double because the original yarn, which was Cascade Ecological Wool, that was a bulky weight. Yeah, so this held double should be somewhere, I think, in the vicinity. I held it, the Cascade was held with like a really tight gauge, so I think it'll balance out, and I'm really excited. I was thinking I might even make it a cardigan, but I don't know if I want to. Don't know, not sure. I'm not totally sure when I'm gonna cast this on either. Like I really want it right now, but I have 3 sweater designs on my needles right now. And I mean, this one's close, like I'm just about to split for sleeves. So that's, I mean, it's about halfway done, I would say. But the other 2 sweaters I have are almost done. Both are like on the yoke kind of thing, like from bottom up, which is not how the sweaters will be. They will be, no, wait. I don't know what I'm saying. Yeah, so one of them is a top-down sweater, but I think I showed on here my Claudia sweater. I reached the bottom of the body and realized that I had 2 completely different gauges because it had taken me so long to knit it. And I find that actually kind of a lot. Like gauge changes, or like my tension changes month to month kind of thing. So it's hard to kind of have long-term projects, and then I pick them up and like I have to figure out how to knit again, basically, based on the tension. But yeah, that one is going to be top down. So like I just kind of took the top off and am re-knitting down to the body. So that's almost done. And then my Caribou Cabin Dream sweater, which doesn't have a real name yet. I've just been calling it my Caribou Cabin Dream sweater. That is, the body is done, but I need to rip it back and redo the yoke because, again, my tension was way off. So that's a common theme for me lately. And then, yeah, this one's about halfway done. Yeah, I feel like I really need to like kind of regroup with all of these projects and figure out, like, maybe figure out a bit of a timeline. Maybe I should take a take a few notes out of Rebecca's book, and organize myself somehow. Yeah, so I feel like I'm gonna have a lot of sweaters ready over this winter, which is really exciting, but that also, like, maybe I should plan these things better so that I'm kind of like working through one sweater and then an accessory and then a sweater and then an accessory. I feel like that would be easier in terms of like not having such big gaps between pattern releases. But somehow I wound up with a bunch of accessories this fall and a bunch of sweaters for this winter, and maybe that's fine. I don't know, but yeah, I definitely want to do some big organizing. That's kind of my vibe right now in general. Like, I woke up this morning very much like I just need to lay everything out and get organized. And so I think I will actually do a lot of like cleaning and stuff this evening as well. Just, I don't know, maybe it's Samhain and like the end of the Celtic calendar and the beginning of the new year. I don't know, but I feel like these moments come for me sometimes. These sort of the need to kind of reflect and re-energize. And I'm definitely feeling that right now. But I guess that's kind of the end of my projects and things, and we'll go catch the sunset and the beginning of the Samhain night, and do some more reflecting and see what comes of that. Maybe pick up one of my sweater projects and knit on that a little bit. Who knows? Yeah, thank you so much for being here today and for joining me for this little check-in. And it's nice to see you. It's nice to have a little tea break, a little knitting chat. I feel like things have been really hectic for me this semester, and I had 2 papers due on Friday, so I feel like just this very hectic energy coming through that week, trying to get everything finished, and then into like the Halloween weekend, getting to like hang out and see lots of friends that I haven't seen for a while because I've been writing so many papers. And then kind of like having a really nice slow day today to kind of regroup was really nice. Yeah. There is one more thing I wanted to chat about a little bit, actually. I've been thinking a little bit about Patreon, and I'm a little uncertain. Feeling a little bit uncertain about what my thoughts are. I know I really want to have more time to spend knitting and finishing my patterns so I can get them out. Ideally, I would really like to have a tech editor so that kind of there's less pressure on testers, and that would really help me get things out a lot faster. I have so many ideas and just not a lot of time to really make them happen. And at this point, I feel like I'm designing like 2+ years ahead because it's taking me so long to get through the knitting project. And yeah, so I think I've been thinking about Patreon for a little while as like a potential way to kind of like make a little bit more income to pay for more knitting hours, basically. And like that is definitely something that really appeals to me because then, you know, I can be putting out more patterns. Yeah, but I also feel like there's so many knitting Patreons out there that I don't really know if I've got like much to offer, you know what I mean? So I spent a day recently kind of thinking through like, you know, what would I want as a Patreon subscriber, and I do subscribe to some Patreons, and I really, really cherish those connections, and it feels like a really lovely way to support creatives and to kind of get to have like a nice connection with them. But I also like, I don't like to commodify everything I do. So I'm hesitant in that way. Also hesitant in the way that I don't know if anyone wants it. But yeah, I don't know. I spent a day kind of thinking through what I could offer and what, you know, could make my offerings a little different and unique. And I definitely came up with some ideas. For example, I'd like to offer like some behind the scenes sort of not only footage but also chats about how I design and kind of going through the process of how I've designed the things I have. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really want to like kind of go through it all here. Maybe, I don't know. But suffice it to say that I've got ideas, and I'm just kind of wondering now if it would be something you'd be interested in. So please do let me know if it would be something you would find interesting. No pressure to actually kind of follow through. I know, you know, the economy's in a weird little spot, and we can't always afford to commit to things like that. But if you'd at least find it interesting, or you'd consider it, maybe feel free to let me know. I feel like I almost feel like there's a bit of imposter syndrome. Maybe that's a part of it. Yeah, that's interesting to think about. Anyway, it's something I'm thinking about, so just feel free to send me a little nod if you'd be interested in that. Yeah, and I think also it would allow me the time to kind of make like more in-depth and interesting videos as well. I my background is in photography, so I'm definitely capable of making nice videos and that sort of thing, but I just lack the time, really. Yeah, so let me know what you think, and I can also, if you'd like a bit more information about what I would offer, I have like a big spreadsheet, so I can let you know if you're interested in hearing about it. Anyway, that's my little pitch at the end. I hope that you have a really lovely day, and if you celebrate Samhain, I hope you have a really lovely time in that capacity, and I hope you're knitting on something that makes you feel really good. Yeah. See you later.